I want to come back to this high level of thought, but I do want to ask you about what were some of the memories you had of being on the track team, and particularly the sports writer of the Progress was here.
Many great memories. The trips to Moorhead on the old Black Brothers bus line with the pole vaults on the roof of the bus. The trips.
What was that good sprinter's name? Moorhead? Was it
Howard Murphy.
Howard Murphy, yeah.
That's right, Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
Howard Bump Murphy. Then we had the good kid at Murray State, Bob Doty, who I've talked with.
Yeah.
And Jim Schaefer, Tennessee Tech.
Tennessee Tech, yeah.
He played football and ran track. And in fact, the day Howard Murphy's son was, first child was born, we just ran against Moorhead, and the bus was pulling out off the campus. He went and stopped the bus to tell me that his wife, Jenny, had their first child. Marshall Banks was the premier sprinter at Moorhead. Dr. Banks now, the first black teacher, I guess one of the blacks in the conference. And the days when it had 8 schools in conference: Eastern, Western, Moorhead, Murray, and Tennessee. We had Tennessee Tech, East, Middle, and Austin P. A very simple eight sister schools.
East Tennessee was in there at one time.
Yes, East Tennessee State, Middle, yeah, was in that conference. And it's just the comrades. Kentucky State, the great team with Kemp and Murphy and Glover and Cooksey. Just a good fraternity. We see these schools at the bigger meets, and we'd all sort of come together, you know, the OVC schools, you know, us against the world. We maintain that throughout our careers here at Eastern.
Now the track coach, I should know this, but who was the head track coach?
Don Daly.
Oh, okay, Don Daly.
Who was a great football All-American.
Who came from Dayton.
Well, came from Dayton, Roosevelt, where he was coaching football, and came back to Eastern. Then President brought him back, and he coached the running backs, and his other duty was to be head track coach.
Don held the record, maybe still does, for the longest run from scrimmage here for many, many years.
Right.
Yeah, he told me that, 97 yards.
Yeah.
But was there a closeness of the track team? Was that, you know, part
Oh yes,
of
that was very evident. These guys looked out for us. The white athletes on the team. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. When we went out of state, when we go south, there was a comradeship that we shared. Are you guys okay? We're all right. We're together. We go to eat various places. You know, these guys are together. These are our teammates. Those are my teammates, and the comradeship was very evident that we shared. I'll never forget that.
There were some. If they can't eat, we won't eat.
Yes, that was understood. Coach Daly would go inside many times. You know, it's what it is, and he'd go inside and find what the lay of the land was. He said, well, let's everybody let's eat. And if that wasn't the case, he'd get back on the bus and go elsewhere. But that was no question, no.
But you know, that could be perceived as a negative when you first look at it, but that probably turned out to be a positive because that caused you to grow closer together. And,
well, it endeared me to those guys.
And see
it endeared those guys,
But you were able to see who the good people were around
It was evident.
Yeah.
And I was later told, and Doug may know about this, I don't know, Orson tells some stories that I didn't know about, you know, that I never was privy to about looking out after their black teammates. I mean, they buffered us. And I didn't know for years about some things that could have happened that didn't happen because
just think about the character that was built.
Without question, to this day it's lasting. We had more things in common than not, and we shared those things. They became like a bonding thing for us. If that weren't the case, I wouldn't have the views I have today. I mean, that's what shaped me, or shaped us. You know, the way you were treated here, the way you feel, is what determines what your outlook is. And with me, I hope that it's. And with me, it's honest. I have no reason, nothing to gain by not being honest about, you know, what I say.
But now you've given back to Eastern over the years. Have you been involved in alumni activities for most of the time since you've been out, or has that been more recent years?
Well, I guess I got really involved early 90s, really late 80s, I guess. In fact, Leroy Mullins, longtime trainer here who's retired. In fact, his son's at Ole Miss now, the head trainer. A young kid named Chucky Mullins at Ole Miss was involved in an accident on a football game against Vanderbilt. Chucky Mullins was paralyzed after a tackle he made on a running back from Vanderbilt. And Leroy Mullins had the same basic name as Chucky, Leroy Mullins, the kid, and he adopted this kid. Adopted this young black man, raised by his grandmother, no parents visible. And at that time, I really got involved. We got Leroy, went down to Ole Miss, and I spoke at Ole Miss, as a matter of fact, through my associate with Leroy. And Billy Brewer brought me in there. But at that time, I really got rolling. I really got involved at that point. And I saw the benefit, saw the good being done by EKU alumni. And you know, Leroy's a great friend of this day in our hall. And it was a part of my life. It's just what I did. Just meetings were fun to come to, meeting people, the people that I met while involved, the travel.
Well, as we've talked over the last couple of months, Jack, one of the words that keeps coming up in your description of Eastern is that it allowed you to blossom. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? That's been quite heartwarming for me to hear, and I'm sure. Well, go ahead.
Well, it's true. It's very true. I came here as a shy teenage boy from
That's
Dayton,
hard for us to believe. Yeah.
Well, that's the case. But in this setting, I was given a leadership role. After my first year, I was part of the featured group of athletes here on the track team, and I found myself, I became more outgoing, as Doug can tell you, and I just became part of something. I was vested, and my personality took shape. My personality, my outlook took shape, and I embraced what this gift might be. And well, Larry Bailey said it best. He said he met no one as gregarious, what that means, as me. But it means outgoing, actually. And I have no problem with being outgoing. And I have learned, or I've become predisposed to touching people, to reaching out. And it began here. It began here. The basis was formed right here at EKU. And from that, I was able to build on that and make some contribution to people. I feel good about having done that. And people come back to you, and you know in the end, you've done more good than harm. And that's what drives me to this very day, that I have strived to do far more good than otherwise. Well, anywhere you go, if you meet an Eastern person, I Doug, we met them all over the country, we share things in common. It's a bond. Our current president, what's Michael's last name? Attorney, alumni associate. I was at his office.
Mike Conway.
Mike Conway. I was in his office at his building last week with my wife for a medical appointment. He wasn't in his office, but I just felt drawn, just compelled to go talk to Mike about what's going on at school, what's happening at school. You know, people ask you, what's under Eastern? I mean, you're down there a lot, right? What's going on with this department? That kind of thing. It's a drawing. And I'm quite sure that other places as well had their own drawing, their own bonding process, but somehow we've got something special.
I think so. I think it is different.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking with Jack Jackson, a very prominent member of the alumni of Eastern Kentucky University. And you could probably tell that we could talk for another couple of hours, but you'd get tired of listening to us if you haven't already. But please join us again when we talk about EKU then and now.